So I'm here with Pete Christianson, and Pete, you're a farmer.
That's right.
Corn, soybeans, hay, and still a few beef cattle.
A few beef cattle. Yep.
But
Quit milking 10 years ago.
Okay, former dairy farmer.
Yep.
So this farm here you're on, this is the family farm where you grew up?
Yes. Yep. My grandpa had it, my dad, and then I took over.
Okay. So what year did you start farming?
Well, I was born in '56, so I probably started right after I got old enough. I was milking cows by 7, driving tractor, all that good stuff.
And then when you got out of high school, then you came right back to the farm?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And at that time, you guys were dairy farming?
Correct. Yep.
And so what year was that?
I graduated in '74.
Okay.
Yep, 74.
So 74 were pretty good times for farming.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That was, prices were pretty good and, you know, stuff was going well. How many cows were you guys milking?
We added on our barn in '69 and built some silos and stuff, and so the barn held 55, and then we ended up building a freestall and switching cows, so a lot of times we milked 90.
Okay, which 90 cows back then was a lot of cows. That was a pretty big herd.
Yeah, kept us busy. Yep.
So was your dad and your grandpa around the farm too?
Grandpa was doing a little field work toward the end there, and he would, run the old 806, and Dad would too. Dad would help milk, and then after a while, Dad kind of just phased out a little bit, and then I got some hired people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys always milked Holsteins?
Correct. Yep.
Shipped to the Ellsworth Creamery, right?
Yep. I think we were number 3 patrons, so if I understand right, we were the 3rd person to get a bulk tank. And that was probably about in the mid-50s we got a bulk tank, before my time.
Yeah, so you never remembered
I never remember cans,
Who was your milk hauler for most of your...
Well, it was Harold Colson at first, and then Steve Colson.
Okay. Yep.
And then Tom Kolzinski did it for a while, and then Wade Nibby, and then Kevin Lewis.
Okay.
At the end. So we had,
Yeah.
We trained them all in. There's stories about every one of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom was my milk hauler, and then Scott Donnelly, and Scott bought out Tom's route, or must have just bought out the stuff that closer to Ellsworth or something, because and Tom, everybody always called him the Pollock.
Yep, Pollock. Yep.
And he had that Ford LTL 9000.
Yep.
Boy, that was a big milk truck when he started out, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Nobody had one that big.
No.
So.
And he was always very careful and took it easy. And if he'd have a sub driver, you knew who it was, because he'd have it shifted 4 times before he got out of the driveway. Tommy would just go out in first.
Yeah. Yep.
Whatever.
So, 74, you come back to the farm, and were you guys just dairying, or were you raising a little extra for cash crop?
Yeah, that was just dairy.
Okay.
Yep. In fact, back in those years, we fed what we call brewer's grain from the brewery in the cities in La Crosse. It was a byproduct from making beer, and cows loved it.
Was it dry?
It was wet.
Oh, it was wet.
So we got a load every week.
Okay.
Cows loved it. They milked good on it. Yeah.
Because, you had old style Heilmann's or whatever, and special export in La Crosse.
Yep, and I think Grain Belt or whatever, Hams and
Schmidt's.
In the cities.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
They'd bring a tandem truckload every Monday morning.
And that'd keep even in the summer?
Yeah, you had to feed it up in a week.
Okay.
Better feed her up in a week.
All right. So. Was that just to the dairy cows, or were you finishing some steers?
That was just dairy cows.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys finish your steers then?
Yeah, we had a steer feeder and cob corn, you know.
Okay. So you weren't selling your bull calves off then?
No, no.
Okay. So did you had enough acres? You weren't selling any corn.
No.
So you didn't start selling any extra crops until later on.
Right. I was like 99. I built the first grain bin,
Okay.
and then added 3 after that as we did less cows and more grain. And,
Did you cut? So you cut back on the cows as time went on.
yep.
Well, and grain farming got better as time went on. It seems like it was, especially after like what, 06 or somewhere in there, 07, when ethanol markets kind of started to pop up and.
Right. Yeah. And then as my dad got older, I like to tell a story about like when mom and dad were 50 years old, they'd go to Florida every winter for a month, leave me with the cows and stuff. And so I kind of was hoping one of my kids would maybe I could do the same thing, but nope, none of my kids wanted to farm. So I just kind of phased out, keep getting a little less cows every year. And Dad, he'd help with the field work and stuff, drive tractor till he was 90, 92 years old.
Really?
Yep, he just passed away last year ago at 94. So he had a good run. He hunted and fished and golfed, and then he drove tractor for me, and I felt like he had the ideal retirement.
Yeah.
Stayed involved in the farm and did what he loved, but didn't have to fix anything.
Yeah. Well, and dairy is a lot. I mean, it's something all the time. I mean,
Oh, absolutely. You don't know how involved you are until you quit.
Right.
And then it's kind of like, I'm retired.
Right. Okay, so back to when you started out, 74 is pretty good times. Into the late 70s were pretty good times.
Yeah, I can remember 79 must have been a good year because we put in a manure pit, bought a bunch of new machinery and stuff. And, backing up, right when I started farming, I thought, I'm going to ask an old timer what his advice is for farmers. And I was really kind of surprised at what he said. First thing he says was, don't be afraid to borrow money. And then right after that, but borrow one thing, one at a time or 2 at a time, and then pay them off so you don't have a whole bunch of debt from a whole bunch of different people. And so that's kind of what we did. We'd borrow money when we'd buy something new or buy some land, but we never got in over our heads. So that seemed to work out good for us.
Were you, so did you buy into the farm?
Yeah, we incorporated in the early 80s. And then I bought my brothers and sisters out as soon as I could. And
Okay.
then just kept buying the shares out until I owned them all.
Okay.
So, it worked for us. There was no
Yeah.
interest to pay, and you just kept buying shares.
Yeah. Yep.
You know.
So you probably had to live. Did you, being that was kind of out of your wage, in a way, buying these shares, so you probably had to go without a few nice things along the way when you were younger, I suppose, and work a lot.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Which kind of like, how does that saying go? You get by what you don't have to have today, so you can have what others don't have tomorrow.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. And so.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it's been a good run. The cows have been good to us. Seen a lot of changes. When I was a kid, I was driving the bundles for thrashing with an old WC Alice with the hand clutch because I couldn't reach the clutch with my foot. And, back to baling hay, like 20,000 bales a year. And then we finally got a round baler, a chopper and stuff, you know. And
Well, I would say like haylage. Haylage changed everything because
yeah,
before that, I mean, yeah, if you're going to have 90 cows, I mean, how many small square bales for 90 cows?
yeah, it was insane. We figured we were good if we were done first crop by 4th of July.
Right. And then you just start cutting right away again. You never.
No, you hayed all summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have a mow conveyor in the barn?
Yep.
Ran the length of it?
Yep.
So you could,
Yep.
yeah.
Well, at first, before we had the bale thrower in '79, we had that fork. We'd take up 10 bales at a time and then run and dump
Yep.
along a track. Yeah.
Yeah, the old hay loader or yeah.
Hay conveyor thing or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, that takes time.
Yeah. And then somebody had to pile them on the wagon and yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But they were the good old days, you know. You know, good neighbors around, you know. We had like 15 neighborhood boys and like 2 girls around the neighborhood. And so after we got up a little older and mini bikes come in, we were riding around with the neighbor boys on mini bikes everywhere, you know. Yeah.
Well, throwing bales and milking cows paid for a lot of snowmobiles and dirt bikes.
Mini bikes, snowmobiles, yeah. Yeah.
Like, that was,
Yeah, and the good neighbors, you know, we felt free to borrow other stuff to each other and, you know, never kept track of who was what, and it was just great. Neighbors would help other neighbors when one was sick or whatever. We'd all get together and put their crop in or haul their manure or whatever.
yeah. With the dairy, it seems like there was a lot of community among farmers because
Yeah,
everybody was going through the same thing.
yeah.
So you just helped each other out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We always say that, like, you know, in my neighborhood, some wetter ground and somebody, well, I helped a guy got stuck one day and I pulled him out with my pickup with his lawnmower or something. He offered to pay me something and I said, in this neighborhood, you don't offer anything. You don't even have to say thanks because they're going to do it for you the next time around.
Yep. Keep doing good for others and it'll come back to you in unexpected ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that whole sense of community with all the dairy farmers. I feel like we've lost some of that with crop farming because when everybody dairy farmed, as long as you had enough to feed your cows, that's really all you needed.
Right, yep.
And then as crop farming took on, well then, even if you get along with your neighbors, there was still almost a little competition there. Because if you can pick up a little more ground, and he wanted to pick up a little more ground. And I didn't feel like there was that much of that with the dairy. It seemed
Right,
like,
yeah. Everybody did their own thing, yeah.
Yep. But it changes. That's agriculture. Things change.
Yep, yeah.
You know. So then you're buying shares and so then did you start, so was the corporation buying the equipment then? And
Yep.
you were just buying the shares?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you weren't financing too much stuff where the interest rates probably weren't hurting you too bad then?
There was a lot of years we didn't have any interest.
Really?
Yeah, we just kind of paid for stuff as we went along,
Okay.
you know.
And yeah, if you didn't have to pay a bunch of interest, a lot of that equipment in the 80s wasn't so bad, you know. Because,
Well, like that tractor right there.
yep,
Bought it in '85 or so. You know, times were tough and John Deere had it for half of list price.
yeah, that's crazy.
You know, it's crazy, you know.
So what did it list for?
It lists for $69,500 and we bought it for $34,500.
Huh.
15 seed power shift, 20.8s.
And you bought that Meyer implement in Baldwin, Wisconsin?
Yep, Myers, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, so that's, yeah.
Was that triple?
John Deere says they'll never do that again. They had too many, they built too many.
Right.
You know, and now it's kind of like, we're not going to do that. We'll have you order them and pay full price.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Is that one triple remotes or?
just double remotes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's been a pretty good tractor for you, hasn't it?
Yep. Yeah. Nothing, no engine work. Put a water pump in. That's about it.
Yep.
Little odds and ends here and there, but
Yeah, can't complain about that. And you guys bought a brand new International in '81.
yeah, we bought a 5288 from Hoyka up there. You know.
Yep. Because Hoyka was the dealer right in Ellsworth.
That was the big dog at that time.
So
that was bigger than this one a little bit, but
so it was Hoyka then in '81. It wasn't Julian Walsingham then. It was already Hoyka.
it was Hoyka. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
So that was 5288 was a pretty big tractor.
Yeah,
Like 100 and what?
that was 165, I think it was. Yeah,
Yep. Is that one Western interior?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. But '81, the farm crisis really hadn't gotten that bad by '81 yet. It got a little worse. That's like by '85, like I said, when they were selling that, they were dealing. Those tractors ended up getting cheaper.
as went along.
Yeah. But how's that 5288 been for you?
We've had the motor redone. You know, it had some issues with the tranny, so we got that fixed. And
Because they had they had to update those transmissions because they were an all new tractor when they came out. That transmission, that STS,
right, yeah.
and that Century system had some issues, right? So that got updated and
That did not get updated because Hoyka wasn't in that program, and then Hoyka went out of business,
yep,
and I guess the Hastings boys, Balls, they took them all back and said they were defected, and then Case IH warranted them.
Yep.
But Hoyka didn't, so it went years and years, and then low range went out, and so then Danny Fisher fixed it
Oh, okay.
at
Yep.
that time. Yeah,
Okay. How many hours are on that then?
that's probably got like 6,000-7,000
Okay.
also.
All right.
That's about what the John Deere has.
So chopping and stuff, was that the chopping tractor then since it was a little bigger? Or?
Yeah, either one.
Okay.
Yeah,
But those were the two main horses.
back in the day, yeah. Well, we always had a 1206 and an 806 and a 656, and
Well, one of them would probably go on the blower, right?
yep, 1206 on the blower probably.
Yep. Haul wagons with the
Haul
806.
wagons, yeah. I haul a lot of wagons with my pickup because
Okay.
we got hydraulic drive wagons,
Yep.
and then I just hook it up to the blower tractor, sit on the pickup tailgate.
Okay.
So,
Did you have some land that was a little further away that?
well, it's a mile down the road, half
Oh, okay.
mile down, yeah, half mile.
Okay.
For a haylage, pickup pulls it out just fine.
Yep.
Usually 4-wheel drive.
Yep. Yeah, I had a hydraulic. I had one hydraulic drive box, a Badger, and that was boy, that unloaded really nice. With if I unloaded with my 4240, that had really good hydraulics. Versus if I tried to unload with like the old 1466, it just didn't have enough hydraulics for that box. But if you had good hydraulics, she'd unload.
We used to make piles and fill a trench silo down there, and hydraulics were kind of nice because you could drive along and
Yeah.
don't worry about the PTO getting kinked up.
What kind of boxes were they?
We had Myers 18-footers,
Okay.
4-beater. Yeah.
What'd you have for a chopper?
Started out with years ago it was the old Gale cut and throw.
Yep.
Then a New Holland 770, and then an 890, 892
Okay.
New Holland. Yeah.
Then did you end with like a 900 or?
No. Stayed with the 892.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose New Holland choppers, because, Snows was pretty close, right?
Yeah, right at the get-go with Snows. And, then they moved to Baldwin, or had that store in Baldwin, and then they quit, and then it was Grange Hall
Yep.
for a while.
Then Duran Implement built the store out
Yep. Yeah.
on the other side of town, and then so yeah, New Holland for all that. Always New Holland hand equipment then?
Pretty much. I had a 535 John Deere round baler for a while.
Okay.
That was good to me,
Yep.
And we still got a John Deere disc mine, 12-foot. We used to use that for chopping,
Oh, okay.
for a 12-foot roll instead of a 10.
That got impellers then?
That was an impeller one, yeah.
Yeah, they say they're really good for chopping. I don't know if they were as good for baling or not, but
Yeah, you wonder how much it crimped it,
yeah.
But it worked,
Yeah.
So
did you run a New Holland blower then too?
no, international.
Okay.
Yeah, 600.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's still one other shed, yeah.
those 56s and 600s were quite the blower.
Yeah.
60-inch, and they'd really unload or really blow, and you could, they did a really good job with that cross auger or whatever.
Yeah. We had a Gale 99 for a year or two, and yeah, that was questionable.
With the twin whirly.
Yep, twin whirlies,
Yeah.
blow it in.
Yeah, I didn't, that part of even on the New Holland blower, I didn't like as much, that
Oh, yeah, yeah.
where it kind of whirl it in. But I had a 40. It was a 40 New Holland for a while, and that was a 1,000 RPM blower.
Oh, yep.
And that thing would blow. I will say that. I mean, it just kind of, you get her wound up and it just kind of hover. It was a little scary.
About ready to take off.
Yeah, you never wanted to stand real close to it when you were unloading. You just, yeah. And, I've seen blowers have come apart. Jimmy Hoshold had one just completely explode. He was unloading high moisture corn into the harvester while he was doing chores, and he started the corn and
went to change milkers.
Yeah, I think he was running the 1,000 shaft on a 540 blower.
Oh yeah.
And opened up the gravity box, went in the barn, and came out, and the tractor was shut off. The blower was just.
How many pieces were in the silo?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, make sure get some magnets for the cows. But.
Stuff happens, always, yeah.
But yeah, then, so you bought the 5288, then the 4250. Then did you get another new tractor, or is it quite a while before you bought another one?
In 1990, we bought a 2955
Okay.
John Deere, just two-wheel drive, just because our 656 diesel had over 10,000 hours on it, so thought it was time, instead of fixing a whole bunch on it or whatever, just buy a new one.
Yep.
And now that one has 10,800 and some hours on it. And in the meantime, we bought a New Holland 6030.
Okay.
So
Was that
was in '08.
okay?
So
That 2955 has a cab,
yeah,
and that's just a regular. Oh, what do they call that transmission? Where you got your
4-speed,
yep,
2-speed and a 4-speed. Yeah.
yep, with the high low.
With high low. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that's got a cab and everything. So was that? I suppose that was a little nicer for.
That was kind of my dad's favorite tractor.
Okay.
It was easy to get in and out, and it drove more like a go-kart versus a great big tractor.
Yep, and then had a nice cab.
Yeah, a nice
Quiet
cab.
and
Yeah.
which when you before was the 5288 then your first cab tractor?
No, we had a 1568 for a while.
You had a 1568?
Yeah, V8.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, was that one just stock, or had somebody put turbos on that one?
I don't know, but the neighbor says I'm going to throw a crowbar in the windrow because it's too loud, and you weren't too late.
Where'd that one come from?
That was one of Richard Knight's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I believe.
Okay. That wasn't a black stripe, was it?
No.
Just a regular 1568. Which just a regular 1568 is really rare.
Yeah, if you know now, you would have kept the thing, but.
Yeah, and at the time you got rid of it, they weren't worth much. People didn't love those things.
No, it only had a 3-speed tranny with, high and low, and
Yeah.
but it was a big dog for a while.
Did you like it?
5288 was a lot nicer.
So
That's why we traded off for the
Okay.
5288. Yeah.
But that cab on a 1568 versus that 5288, there's no comparison.
No comparison. Yeah.
So you must have just thought,
Looking back, I died and went to heaven. Yeah.
oh yeah. and then you get the Soundguard, and so guys, non-John Deere guys look at a Soundguard cab and they'll complain about that cab. They had the round and a post, and they'll say a post is in the middle, which if you look at it, it's not in the middle.
No, it's off to the right.
But
Off to
did
the
you
left.
like the 4250 then, when you went from that 88 series cab to the Soundguard?
I don't know. That's 30 years ago.
Well,
It was nice. They're both nice. Yeah.
so yeah, they're quiet. That 4250 is probably a pretty quiet tractor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, did you find that you could get a little bit more work done at night when you had a nice cab?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's what I always said when I got my first nice cab when I bought my 4450. Was I figured that tractor paid for itself, because Darien, I mean, there was always something to do on the farm. I mean, you could chore and take care of stuff all day long. So to get a bunch of field work done.
You did it at night.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you had a nice tractor, it made it a lot easier to go out there at night,
Oh, yeah.
And
Same with when we got the combines versus corn picker.
yeah.
Yeah.
So so you were feeding Brewer's grains, but then you guys built a harvester.
Yep. In '88, we built a harvest for shell corn. Yep.
So prior to that, were you feeding the Brewer's grains, and then were you grinding cob corn?
Cob corn. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we had cob corn piled everywhere.
Which, at least you don't have to worry about rats with giant piles of cob corn everywhere, right? Although, you guys don't have to worry as much about rats as some people, because you guys have a natural rat removal species right around here too, right?
Yeah, we got rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much they help, but they're around.
Yeah. So what's worse, rats or rattlesnakes?
Well, nobody's got bit by either. So
Okay.
we're good to go.
Yeah. So picking corn then, were you wide rows back then yet?
Yep.
Okay. So do you have a Deere or New Idea picker?
New idea. Yep.
2-row?
2-row new idea. 1 row at first and then 2-row.
Did you ever have a mounted one?
No.
Okay, so I was a pull type picker,
Yeah.
and yeah, I bet that to feed 90 cows, harvest took a long time then, I'm guessing.
Oh. Yeah.
And you got all your fingers.
I don't know how I got all the stuff done when it was that, milking 90 cows and doing everything else,
Right?
raising 4 kids, and, I always said there should be 3 of us. 1 for the wife, 1 for the family, and 1 to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we try to do it with one of us.
Yeah. Well, to do all the field work, and because you weren't hiring stuff done, and pick all that cob corn, and then move elevators all the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and you got all your fingers yet, right?
Most of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those pickers were known for getting some fingers.
Yeah, I know it. No. I lost the end of one, but I was in a jack that busted, but wasn't in a picker.
Okay. Did you have a lot of gravity boxes then?
Yeah, 3, 4 of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seemed like.
And unloading cob corn out of a gravity box, it just falls right out. It's just so easy, right? So then when you got the harvester, did you go to shelled corn right away, or did you grind cob corn?
No, we did shell corn.
Okay.
We filled it with high moisture shell corn.
Did you buy a combine then?
No, Vernon Swanson used to come and combine our corn.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. He'd get her done in a day.
Right. Well, he always had a new combine.
Yeah, and John Deere only made one combine a year that would go that fast. And he got it.
Yep. Well, yeah, suddenly your fall became a lot better when you...
Oh, between high moisture corn and the manure pit, that made winters go a lot better.
Right. Yeah, because then you weren't firing up a...
Tractor every day,
Oh.
and grinding feed. And
Yeah, the only problem with the manure pit is it's great all winter long, but then in the spring you got to haul manure when you want to be in the field.
right, yeah.
That was the only problem, but your manure was pretty valuable then, you know, because of the pit. Where
Yeah.
when you're spreading all winter long, it's not
You lose some of it.
right.
Yeah.
So at least you're using it all. And so then when did you get a combine after the cows left?
No, I got a combine in 1999.
Okay.
You know,
What was that?
Dad was, he was somewhat old school, but he was pretty flexible for kind of what I wanted to do. And so in '99, the neighbor Wayne Anderson over there says, if you buy a combine, you can come combine my corn. And so I thought, well, let me help pay for the combine. So I bought a 6620 side hill,
Okay.
6-row head,
Yep.
combine Wayne's corn for the last 3 years, and kind of helped pay for it. And it worked out, halfway good for us, because he would dry a batch, and I'd kind of fill them up, and then I'd go home and milk, and he'd, get that all taken care of for that night. And I didn't overrun him. I'd kind of just do as much as he could handle a day with his dryer.
Yeah, because Wayne milk cows till in the late 90s, right?
Somewhere in there, yeah.
And then he...
I think he was still milking when I was combining for him.
Okay. I'm trying to think what year he had his auction first.
He had like 500 acres to combine. There was a lot of corn there.
He owned a lot of ground,
Yeah.
if I remember right. Yeah. And it's all just flat as can be, right?
That's why we have a side hill. Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of side hills around this.
Area. Yeah.
There really were.
But it was a good old combine. It, was no speed demon by any means, but
it worked.
it worked. Yeah.
And then you went to the 2366
Yeah.
from that?
That's more in like 2014, about the time I sold my cows, 2012.
Okay.
That's when these Faldies wanted to change.
So when did you decide you were going to sell the cows?
After that horrendous winter of 2014.
Okay.
I'd kind of cut back. My wife had cancer, so she was dealing with that. I was 57, 58 years old, somewhere in there. It's kind of like, milking is a young man's sport.
Yeah.
And so it was getting kind of old. I didn't have any debt. Everything in the barn was 40 years old. Manure pump, the barn cleaner, the silo unloaders, all the milking equipment. Stanchions had never been replaced, and the barn was built in 41. And it's like, where do I start with all this stuff? I could
Yeah.
spend 100 grand and for what?
Yep.
And so milk was really high then, so I got a good price for the cows. And Jim Harsdorf bought them all when he moved to
Oh,
Spring
really?
Valley.
Yep.
Yep. And so thought, I can have some beef cows that are pets. I had a bunch of pet cows, so that was the emotional part, getting rid of my pets. But
Were they all? I'm guessing then if they were all pets, they weren't registered, were they?
no,
But were they all named and?
yeah, a bunch of names,
Yeah. Did you test milk then? Were you on DHIA?
No,
Okay. Yeah.
no. So when, from there, that generated a bunch of money,
Yep.
So I was able to put up another couple grain bins, buy the semi and trailer,
Yep.
bought the corn planter and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's what kind of way that went.
So, did you ever ask any of your kids if they were interested in taking over or anything, or like with the cows, or they make it pretty clear that
They made it pretty clear that, we're not milking cows.
even when they were young, they didn't milk for you?
Well, oh yeah.
Okay.
But, after they got up through high school, it's like, no, we're venturing out.
Yeah.
But and it's probably a good thing because what would I have? Bunch of older buildings trying to make a living on a stanchion barn yet.
Yeah, that's.
Or if
So-
I would have got crazy and expanded, that wouldn't have been me. Yeah.
That's kind of the problem with the dairy and that I'm seeing today is that you could be an older dairy farmer out of debt, or and you can do whatever you want. Like you can milk as long as you want, or some of the guys that don't carry a lot of debt. But if you were a young guy starting out, to pay for a farm and buy a line of equipment, I mean, look what a new disc buying costs today versus
Yep.
20 years ago, where 50 cows could pay for a new disc buying 20 years ago. I did.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
50 cows isn't paying for a new disc buying anymore unless you have no other debt or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just the cost, the overhead is just gotten so high that it makes it hard to reinvest all that back in on the dairy.
Why do you gotta have $1 million worth of equipment just to make a living?
Right. Oh,
But yeah.
if you try and explain why you farm to people that don't know anything about farming, they're going to probably look at you like you're crazy, which maybe we are.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something a little bit wrong, but
But the kids that you raise on a farm have a good work ethic, are honest, hardworking, show up on time, and are usually pretty polite.
Yep.
They'll get hired right away.
Yeah. Yep. So then,
And they, as they grow up on a farm, you kind of introduce them to different tasks and kind of explain a little bit, but really make them figure it out as they go. So they got that idea of, I got to figure this out.
so I always say that to my kids and my wife, because I'll say, why don't you come out and give me a hand with this? And they're like, no. And I go, my dad never sat me down and taught me a whole bunch of stuff, but I picked it up being around the farm. You just picked it up. Nobody explained how you do this necessarily. You just kind of learned. And that's important, where you're not going to pick that up if you don't do it. So being around the farm really good. I've said that to my kids. I'm like, well, don't call me when you get older and you've got a light switch or a sink faucet that you can't fix because you could have learned, you know.
For instance, my one son got into building water slides, and just the ingenuity, learned around the farm how to put stuff together and figure stuff out. They just got done building one in Wisconsin Dells, 160 feet tall. That was kind of an engineering feat to get all that stuff lined up and up 160 feet.
Did he go to college for engineering or something?
No.
Oh, just
no. Kind of self-learned as he went.
I wouldn't even know how to begin trying to build water slides. How you'd even get into that business?
Yeah. Well, his father-in-law was in it.
Okay.
So he got started that way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was good.
Yeah, that's interesting. You don't think about that, but did you ever think about not coming back to the farm when you were younger?
I kind of always had it in my blood.
Okay.
Farming.
Yeah. So it wasn't like you were missing out on anything doing this.
No. Yeah, I actually have lived here all my life.
Okay.
I've never been anywhere else.
Well, it's a nice spot. You
Yeah.
know, you got, it's quiet here, but
We're kind of back out of the way. Yeah, we're close to Red Wing.
yeah. Yeah, if you could fly to Red Wing, it wouldn't take you long at all. But then you got to deal with rattlesnakes every now and then.
Well, that's kind of minor issue.
Yeah. They surprised you every now and then where one's hanging out?
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
But they say they strike at heat. They got little heat sensors so they can tell the difference in temperature between an animal that's alive. And I've teased the heck out of them with a stick or a hoe. I've never been able to get them strike at it.
Okay.
But you stick your hand down there.
Oh, yeah. But they probably don't go near the building site as much. They probably stay closer to the bluffs, don't they?
Pretty much. There's been a couple right by the barn, but that's about it.
Okay. Did you ever lose any cattle to one?
I don't know.
I suppose it's possible.
Possible, yeah. The neighbor said they used to bite their calves,
Really?
and then the calf's leg would swell up and then the calf would die.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, it's funny that there's only a few places in Wisconsin where there's
Up and down the Mississippi River here, yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why they don't. I'm glad they don't travel any further away from the river.
Usually about up to the buildings is about as far north as they go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. But I suppose you'd see them out haying and in the hay and oats fields.
I ran over one with the hay bind this year. It was the next round, you could see it there dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just let it lay there.
I think I threw it in the woods.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I had thought that they would, even after somebody had said even after they don't have a head, that head will still.
Bite you?
Yeah. I don't know if that's true or not. But, yeah. Don't care for them.
No, they kind of mind their own business usually, and so, just kind of work with it.
Yep. Just don't reach in somewhere dark without looking first.
Right.
Yeah. So if you drop something that rolls down a hole out in the middle of the field, you're maybe gonna shine a light first before you just stick your.
You wonder once in a while when you're trapping gophers.
Yeah. I'm surprised you have gophers. I'd figure they'd eat them.
Yeah. There's a few around, but not too many.
Okay.
I try to keep them trapped out.
Yep. Yeah, people that don't raise hay don't understand
Oh,
the problems. Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
And gophers are bad, but even worse is like a badger.
Right. Yeah.
You get badger holes out here?
Not too many, no.
Okay. Yeah, there were always some badgers around, and you get coyotes up here?
Yep.
Yeah, coyotes will make a den sometimes, and you know. Is there? So I used to run a little bit of ground that Mike Tinglehoff owned off of K and Double K there,
Okay.
and there used to be bears in there. Do you get bears in the corn?
Every once in a while, not much.
Okay, they kind of make a mess.
Yeah.
They just flatten everything in
Yeah, that's circle 20 feet around.
right.
Everything's gone.
Where that's how I say if cattle get into corn, they make just a mess. But like pigs, they're real calm about how they eat the corn. They used to fence corn off and let pigs eat it.
Oh, okay.
And you don't do that with cattle.
No.
They just walk on stuff and yep. So yeah, then the cows left. Been crop farming ever since.
Yep.
And
Bale up a couple thousand bales for horse people.
okay.
Square bales.
Yep.
Round bale the rest.
Do you sell that off the wagon or do you got to mow it? And
Usually mow it.
okay. Do you still use the hay mow on the barn?
Not this barn. I got another farm with a barn on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then you just feed round bales to the
Yep.
beef cattle?
Beef cattle, yep.
Okay. So you still got some winter chores, and I could see where that'd be all right sometimes in the winter to go.
Get out and do something instead
Right.
of don't sit in the house every day.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all right, Well, that's like when it snows in the wintertime, except was it the year before when we had so much snow? I actually got sick of plowing snow. But generally I didn't mind plowing snow because you hadn't driven tractor for a while anyway, so you're
Yep.
you're ready to do a little bit,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, for me it wasn't. I don't know. I always thought it'd be harder to get away from the cattle, and it wasn't. I always thought it would be, but there's just enough other stuff to do, But then you didn't. So did you grow soybeans until probably not until after the cows were gone then?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Because there were always a lot of guys that would crop farm and dairy, but a lot of them wouldn't grow soybeans because, well, we don't feed soybeans, so we're going to,
Right. Yeah.
if you had a bad year or something, at least you'd have feed.
Right. Yeah.
So, are beans one of your favorite crops? I don't care for growing beans. I grow them just because we need a little rotation. But
Right. It's nice to plant corn and bean ground.
yep.
It's not all that trash there.
Yep. You do a lot of no-till?
No.
Okay.
None.
Okay. Vertical till everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't do a lot of chiseling and all that.
I do some chisel if I get a chance, and if I can do it in the fall.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like chisel plowing works better when you can let it sit over winter.
Right. Yeah. It's not so fluffy.
Yep. Yep. And so then, what did the big tillage tractor is this Magnum here?
Yep.
I would guess.
Yep.
Then do you plant with the 4250?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it looks like a monitor up in there.
Yeah.
And what's that 52 do? That little tillage too?
That's usually hooked on the disc. We might disc some corn stalks before we,
Chisel?
or before we vertical till,
Okay.
just to get the seed bed a little bit more black.
Okay.
I don't have a no-till soybean drill, so
Yep. Yep.
I
So you
could-
drill all your beans.
yeah.
What do you pull the drill with?
The New Holland,
Oh, okay.
60/30.
Yep.
And then I pull my Brilliant seeder right behind it,
Okay.
which just That's the roller.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. If you don't have big rocks.
There's no rocks here.
Okay. So it's just to get the ridges of the dirt down, basically.
Well, you'd kind of like to, if a bean gets spilt, that'll kind of press it in and it'll germinate. And,
Yep.
the idea of your roll stuff, it's easier to combine.
Okay. So you don't get any rock poking up here.
We're spoiled.
Yeah. Yeah. So back in the day, moldboard plowing, you probably didn't have an automatic reset.
I plowed for my uncle up in Cottage Grove, and I thought I broke the plow when one of them tripped. I'd never tripped one at home.
Right?
Yeah. I didn't know, I hardly knew enough to back up to reset it.
Well, the really rocky ground, that's when you had spring automatics,
Yeah,
so they would just all day clink, clink, bang, And yeah, where I grew up wasn't a lot of rock. My home farm isn't too bad, but I got some ground that's fairly rocky, and those like no-till. They work really good for no-till.
Gotcha.
No sense pulling those rocks up.
They keep coming up.
Yeah, it's better with no-till though.
Yeah.
It's back in the day, you just had a lot of kids and you just go make them pick rock.
No, you can't get them to do that.
No. I'm glad I don't have to small square bale a lot of hay, or I'd never get it done. You still get a little help with your haying?
Oh yeah, I got a couple boys that like to help.
Okay.
Once in a while, yeah.
That's all right then.
It's usually fill the wagons up and unload them in the next morning when it's cooler.
Yep. Yeah, it's not like the way back in the 80s when you were trying to put up thousands and thousands of square bales where you just had to go all the time.
So one day, Dad cut a whole bunch of hay down. And he had so he baled and us kids unloaded. We had 3 bale throw wagons. And we baled over 2,000 bales 3 days in a row. I mean, I know we were young, but our tongues were hanging out.
Yeah.
3 days in a row, was that July? He could bale till 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And
Yep.
he just kept baling. We kept unloading, One guy had to go get the next load while the other ones were unloading, and yeah.
And then somebody had to go milk.
Yeah, right at them. But I don't know, from noon till milking time, it was nonstop.
Yeah. Yeah, that, your fingers felt that, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Gloves or no gloves.
it made you tough.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it wasn't all right.
Yeah, no, it was fun.
We got through it, and, things changed. I mean, you didn't have as much free time, but, when you got done with that hay, and it always felt pretty good, and, you felt like you did something.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, well, maybe I should show them a couple of tractors up real close before we end it. And
Yeah, go ahead.
so.
They've been sitting in here all summer, so they're all full of dust.
But is it got a Meyer Implement sticker on it somewhere? So Meyer closed in, was it 90, 95, 96, somewhere in there, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Band dual, so you always had the duals?
Yeah, I've laughed lately.
Okay. Did it come with the quick hitch?
No.
Okay.
Came with sliding window, though.
Yeah, that was a fancy option. And then a 7150, and those are, you don't see a lot of 7150s. Where did that one come from?
Carl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He got it and ran it for a few years and sold it to his nephew, and then his Nephew's dad wouldn't have a red one on the place, so he had to sell it. So I bought it to him.
Okay.
One of them deals.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Well, I'll show that 52 and the 12. Here's the 52. So this would be an early one then. It's sold new right in Ellsworth. So these are 466 engine, I believe.
Yep.
So the Hoika sticker must have been on the side panels, huh? Yeah. So the Western interior, which is, I always thought that was a cool interior on these, you know? And
I don't see any Hoika sticker.
no. Yeah, they probably would have been right in here, you know?
Runs cooler with them things off.
You still got them?
Yep.
That's good. They're a neat tractor, but, you know.
A little different design. The airflow goes out the front.
Yeah. So was it your dad's idea or your idea to buy this?
I don't know. Probably mine.
Well, so then, were you pretty fond of the red ones with the 656 and then the 806 and?
Well, we had Hoika and Julian Walsingham in Ellsworth. So that's what he had all IH because it was closest.
Yeah.
You know.
But then, so after Hoika quit, then he didn't mind having deer because.
They're all 30 miles away.
Right. So the old 1206 came from Richard Knight. And it wasn't very old when you guys got it then.
Probably not. There's 9,000 hours on it now.
Okay. But this is kind of a favorite of yours then.
Yeah, it's a good old dog.
Yeah. They sound good. You know. But you put a muffler on her, huh?
Yeah.
I bet when you got it from Richard it didn't have a muffler.
Nope.
Yeah. Oh, they're a cool tractor. Yeah, you should get some new turbo stickers for her.
I've been thinking about taking it up to John Langer and have him paint it.
Yep. Oh, they're a cool tractor. Yeah. So, all right. Well, thanks, Pete.
All right.